This is the story of how the 7 dwarves returned her kindness. 7 little men climbed the hill in a row, with their pickaxes and barrows in tow, marching in time to the tune of their disposition. To any observer, they would seem a team of happy workaday bandits out to mine their fortune from the gravel they plow from under the countryside. And they were joyful, but the tunnels were not their destination. A gray gloom had settled over the hillside after they discovered their matron lying on the floor of their home, skin white as the snow of the expected winter, a single bite of an apple still mashed between her teeth. The sky spoke for their weary hearts when the clouds broke and a downpour settled in. They had wept beside the glass chamber fashioned for her to preserve the beauty that had charmed 7 hearts. Hearts which had once only shown any care or devotion to glittering rocks gleaming back at them from the mud. And their time for grief was now over. This band of merry little men marched over the hill where they worked and back down to the trail that would lead them into the dark forest where all manner of monsters lived. It seemed suitable they would join them on this day. The trail seemed to clear for them as the trees pulled their branches up out of the way as if in salute to their venture. The crows watched from nearby perches without a sound, and those lowly creatures that would bare their fangs remained in the shadows as the new predators moved past. Their destination was the castle that stood on a rocky pedestal that plunged into the sea on either side. There were 7 steeples that stabbed the sky, now cracking with seams of lightning that broke through the clouds. The path into the fortress resembled a slithering tongue protruding from the face of a white demon smiling back at them as they made their ascension. And the merry, murderous men marched in, with their pickaxes and barrows, whistling their tune. A brooding band come for the queen who was an enemy to the beautiful and fairest of the world. The castle was as cold as the hollow caverns where their hearts once sat, their bodies driven by the natural will in their muscles to pound and destroy. Their song hushed when they reached the room where she slept, her sleeping face adorned with a toothy smirk that accented the wrinkles and moles around her mouth. Sparse white hairs gathered like mold on her upper lip and under her chin, the youthful and primped features long gone and replaced by a withered bag of skin. She slept as if the world were not collapsing outside, and was completely unaware of the troop that tiptoed to her bedside. Axes were raised and plunged, and they were at work. Barrows were soon filled with mounds of copper-stained flesh that already reeked of decay. Before their work was finished, they collected the liver and a lung from her chest that they would leave to appease the beasts in the wood that granted them safe passage. Their stew would be thinned that night, but they would happily live with rumbling bellies than to digest her foul excrement. They carried what remained of a fraudulent queen past a full-length mirror in her bedchamber. It was adorned with a stern face carved into the rim, whose eyes seemed to follow them toward the stairs, though it said nothing. They carried their bounty to the well near the edge of the grassy plain that led to the forest. If she reached the bottom, they heard no sound other than the thunder bursting above them. Her forgotten body fell into the abyss of darkness where she had sentenced their beauty, but her broken mass would fade quicker than her name from memory. And once again, their weapons became tools and their hands were wiped clean on handkerchiefs drawn from tiny pockets. The sky continued to curse and drown this day with streaks of lightning and cannons of thunder, but the young lady remained safe and dry in her glass tomb, deaf to the stampede of horse hooves in the distance that carried the royal flags, while the 7 mourning men emerged from the wood on the other side, their whistled work tune returning to their lips.